Thank you, Rabbi, and thanks to all of you for taking time out of your day, and certainly thanks very much to my colleagues here who've inspired us with their greetings. I want to start by telling you a story about an elderly Jewish couple where the husband wakes up in the middle of the night, goes off to the kitchen to prepare something to eat. His wife asks him, "Where are you going?" "I'm going to the kitchen." "Well, I want some ice cream." "Fine. Write it down, you'll forget." "I won't forget." With whipped cream." "Fine. Write it down, you'll forget." "I won't forget." "And strawberries?" "Sure." "Write it down, you'll forget." "I won't forget." 10 minutes later, he comes back with an omelet. She looks at the omelet, she looks at him. "You forgot the toast." This is my first time in this synagogue, but for those of you who were here yesterday, as I was in my congregation yesterday, we read the chapter in Deuteronomy, Dvarim Ki Tetzeh. And the chapter ends with some very powerful admonitions about Amalek. Amalek has been sort of the historic, existential enemy of the Jewish people. And we are warned not to forget the deeds of Amalek. Remember the deeds of Amalek, even as we are commanded to wipe the memory of their name. The chapter ends with 2 words, Lo tishkach, don't forget. This is a lot more important than ice cream sundaes and a lot more important than omelets. This really is the core of where we are. I'd like to give you some perspectives on what's happening in Israel. Obviously the country, like the Jewish community here, is obsessed with what's going on in Iran. I travel back and forth between Israel and the US frequently. People want to understand what President Obama is all about. Does he really have Israel's best interests at heart? Can we rely on him being there at those critical junctures when that relationship will be tested? Is he serious about imposing sanctions on Iran, and is it true that all options are really on the table? Are his advisors anti-Semitic? Is he a Muslim? I don't know the answer to any of those questions. I don't think they're relevant questions. I also don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I do know what happened in the past. And I think it's important for all of us, regardless of how old we are, and whether Obama is a recent president for us, or just the latest in a string of many since the State of Israel was created, and before the modern State of Israel. And we need to learn a lot from history, because history is relevant. It's true that the United States was the first country to recognize Israel 11 minutes, if you think about this, pre-internet, pre-email, pre-instant communications, 11 minutes after Ben-Gurion declared the state on May 14th, 1948, on a Friday afternoon, the United States recognized the State of Israel. Truman was a good friend of Israel. Every other president since then has been enmeshed in the Arab-Israeli conflict, but in different ways. The United States never supplied Israel with any weapons till after the Six-Day War. Eisenhower forced Israel, along with Egypt and France, to withdraw from the Sinai after the '56 campaign. In 1967, there was a lot of tension preceding and during the Six-Day War. It was only after that war that the United States agreed to become a major supplier of armaments to Israel, after France, who was Israel's main military benefactor, withdrew and cut off all support. We know a lot about what happened in the Nixon administration. The Rogers Plan during the War of Attrition in 1970 was rejected. In 1973, Golda Meir felt that if Israel struck preemptively before the Yom Kippur War, then the US may not be there for us, and Kissinger actually affirmed that. In the event, Israel absorbed substantial losses. 2,000 soldiers were killed in the first few days of the war, both the Suez Canal, the Bar-Lev line, and up at the Golan Heights. And then the airlift came. The airlift came, and it's important to learn how that happened, why that happened, and what may happen next. As the subsequent administration